Hi, my name is Angela Verreynne, and I would love to share with you my story of how I came to know Jesus. I grew up in a God-fearing home. My parents took us to church every single Sunday, and they really gave us a very strong sense of right and wrong and what was morally correct. And as I grew older, I always had a desire to know God, but I actually didn't really quite know how to have a relationship with Him. And in high school, my life became very much about friends and boyfriends and partying, and my life was very full in that way. But at the same time, I always had a sense that something was not right. And when Christian groups would come to the school that I was at, I would always have a longing for something that they had. And I would even respond in the moment, but I was kind of left after that, and I didn't really know how to follow through. But there was an aspect of hunger in my heart. And in first year university, sort of mid-year, I was a waitress somewhere, and a friend of mine who was waitressing with me said, "Hey, do you want to go on a blind date with one of my friends?" And I was like, "Okay, sure, no problem." And off I went, and the date was at a bar in the city where I live. And I met this guy, and about halfway through the evening, he said to me, "Are you a Christian?" And I thought that was a very weird question, because for me, you were either Christian, Muslim, Hindu, and I wasn't wearing anything like a Muslim garb or anything. So I was like, of course I am. Of course I'm a Christian. I'm trying to do my best to be the best person I can be, but who knows what's going to happen kind of on Judgment Day. You know, I didn't say that whole thing to him, but that was my understanding. Anyway, this guy, who was about 5 years older than me, he had had a radical encounter with God 3 months before, and he had been living a very, very hectic life before that, very worldly, full of kind of sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of lifestyle. And then he got saved, actually pretty much by himself. Someone had asked him at a wedding, "Do you know where you'll go when you die?" And he was plagued by that for weeks, eventually giving his life to the Lord. So when he met me, he had no Christian friends, wasn't part of a church, but he had been radically turned around by the Holy Spirit. And so we started dating after that, and I just remember him wanting to talk about Jesus, and I'd be like, "Why do you want to talk about God all the time?" Like, God for me was kind of boring, you know. But I did see in him something that I didn't have, and something inside, you know, a light, a desire for God, an intimacy, a relationship with Jesus that I didn't even know existed really, beyond the rules and the traditions that I had been familiar with. And so there was a period of about 3 or 4 months where I was asking a lot of questions and wrestling with what I had known and now what I was being shown. And after about 3 or 4 months, I was all by myself, and one night I just said, "God, if you really are who I'm hearing you to be, I desire you to be in charge of my life." And it was as if from the next morning my eyes were open for the first time in my whole life. I remember looking in the mirror in the morning going, things look different. They just look different. And I had a desire to read the Word and a desire to know more about Jesus that I'd had glimmers of before. But I had 2 kind of big worries when I gave my heart over to the Lord, and that was firstly how I was going to stop the desire for clubbing, because I had been really part of my whole life up until that point, and all my friends were in that group. And then how I was going to like worship music because I was like, this is not my style. And about 3 weeks after I got saved or gave my heart to the Lord took that desire for clubbing away completely. I went to a club with a friend, and what had always felt like home for me, I just was like, I am different. This is not my home anymore. I can feel within, not from a judgmental perspective, but from a spirit perspective, there's something different here. I don't feel like this is where I should be, you know. And in retrospect, know that was the Holy Spirit guiding me with His counsel. And then the desire for worship music, it's like as I played the 2 tapes that I owned over and over, it's like God began to show me that there was life here that no other music ever had given me. And I began a journey of getting to know the Lord in a way that I had never before. Understanding what sin was, I don't think I'd ever understood what the cross meant for me, and began to realize how much I'd lived my life on my own terms and not come to him. And it's been 25 years, I think, now. And I think the thing I want to leave with you is there is always more of the Lord. There's new things about him and new joys and a new journey for all of us, no matter where we are.